Hey guys, you're back with Jessica with Timeless Amor Photography, and thanks so much for tuning back into my channel. So I'm so excited to be posting content a bit more regularly for you guys. I actually post a lot of content on my stories on Instagram. And so I get a lot of questions on what to look for in a wedding photographer. So I decided to put this video together to kind of help you guys kind of get down to the nitty gritty or what you should be looking for in a wedding photographer so someone doesn't ruin your big day. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. All right, so like I said in my story, I post a lot of content um, on Instagram. It's mainly just a lot of questions about what type of things you guys would like to know about planning your wedding and things like that. So me personally, I'm a wedding photographer and I've been doing this for quite some time now. And so tip number one, the best advice I would give you, honestly, this isn't even specific to photography or wedding photography. Really for any industry, whenever you're spending a large lump sum of money, my first piece of advice is definitely sign a contract. Now, I think people are a little apprehensive to sign the contract, but honestly, a contract is really designed to protect you as a client. So, it should have things in there that really say, what happens if your photographer is sick, like what happens if they die. You want to make sure that whatever down payment or payments that you've placed up to that point is going to be secure. So making sure they have backup, other staff who can still be able to cover your wedding and still at the same level of professionalism as you would expect from your primary photographer at that. It's like I said, and again, if anything doesn't make sense to you, ask questions, because contracts, it can have a lot of legal jargon. So don't be afraid to ask questions and say, hey, like, what do this means? So before just signing, actually read it. Because I know a lot of people, they just like, okay, flip through the pages. All right, I'll just sign. Actually read it and know what you're getting into. So that's my tip number one is definitely sign a contract. And it's really going to be more in your favor. All right, so step number two is really consider what unique offerings that photography company has to offer. So one of the things that we do is we offer travel sessions for our engagement sessions. So this is just a really unique way of just kind of doing something out of the box, something really creative, fun that you can do locally. Even beyond just the engagement session, some of the things you may want to consider is seeing if there's an engagement session included with your wedding collection. Do they offer albums or is it just digitals only? Those are just some really unique things that you should really just be looking at, does this photography company offer it? And when you really think about it, your album is the only tangible thing you're gonna have to really remember your wedding day. So I think that's one of those things that you probably don't think about until after the fact, until you see your best friend has like this really dope album. You're like, dang, I wish I had that, but at that point it's too late. So definitely just kind of explore all of your options in terms of what type of things that photography company offers before you make your final decision. So step number three. Um, oh, this is so important. You definitely want to check out their style, look at their portfolio and even beyond whatever images you may see on their website. I would even encourage you to ask to see a full day wedding from that photography company as well. And this is so important simply because of the fact that you're gonna have two types of photography that you're gonna see, right? You're gonna have the bright and airy photos, and then you're gonna have the more dramatic photos that may be like a bit more of a moodier style. So me personally, my style is more of a moodier photography. So I use off-camera flash, and it really allows me to create some really unique images just by manipulating the light, so I can get some really different effects. So in my photography, I like to use a lot of browns and blues just in my editing. And you'll see I'll have the dramatic sky with the architecture kind of incorporated into my photography. So if I was more of a natural light photographer, I wouldn't be able to get those same effects. So a natural light photographer, their pictures are going to be a bit more bright. So whatever you see that day is what you're going to see on your pictures. Versus my style of photography, I'm able to get a bit more creative with my photography, and my clients definitely love it. But like I said, become familiar with their style and know what actually really caters to your sense of photography, really. So if you're the type of person who doesn't like more of that moodier style, then you wouldn't book a photographer like me, because that's the type of photography I do. On the other hand, if you aren't that impressed with more of the like natural light photographers, then you may want to explore photographers who have a wide range of photography, especially if what they can do with the lighting and things like that. So tip number three: definitely be familiar with your photographer's style, and this is definitely gonna save you a lot of disappointment after the fact, for sure. um, so tip number four: like, I don't know how many of you guys waited to like the last minute to start packing for your wedding, or start packing, not for your wedding. I hope you're not packing for your wedding. But how many of you guys have waited to the last minute to start packing for like a trip, like you're going out of town or something like that? Like the day before, you're like, oh snap, I still have to pack, right? Don't do this for your wedding. So tip number four is definitely do not procrastinate. And a lot of people, they think that booking, they don't want to start looking too early, things like that. But the reality is that a lot of vendors actually start booking a year in advance. So your wedding venue, your photographer, videographer, so if there's specific companies you really want to work with, there's a venue that you really want your wedding to be held at. Don't think that a year is too far in advance. So if you're looking a year in advance, you're actually right on time. So I actually met a couple. They actually ended up waited, and they ended up waiting, and they weren't able to get the venue that they wanted. They ended up waiting 6 months later than what they um, originally planned, because they really really wanted that venue. So like I said, don't procrastinate. It's not even a thing of procrastinating, but just be aware that a lot of places do book up pretty early in advance. Like that's just kind of the nature of like how weddings are. Yeah, so definitely look at booking your all of your the big costs, like your photographer, venue, things like that. Book those well in advance to make sure you secure the date and the other professionals that you want to be a part of your big day. All right, so last but not least, I think, me personally, this is probably the most important thing. So after you look at their style and everything, you just say, okay, I love their style. I really want to work with this company. So let's say your next step is you contact them, right? So before you even hear about their unique offerings, before you even, do anything else, you contact the company. For me, clear communication is so important. If even if I took photography off of the table, if there's any company that I'm doing business with, and if they take too long to contact me, like it shouldn't take a week to contact me, because poor service is an indicator of a horrible experience, quite honestly. So for me, if I contact a company and they take forever to get back to me, then honestly I don't even want to do business with that company. So just be mindful of that. How long do they take to respond to your emails? How long do they take to respond to your calls? Are they even invested in your day? Do they want to hear about your day, or are they just trying to pick up a check? So for me, I told all of my clients I'm more interested in building relationships over transactions. So for me, I really like to get to know my clients, know what's most important to them, and then we can pretty much just kind of go from there. So those are my 5 tips: sign a contract, consider what unique offerings they have, Look at their style, don't procrastinate, and make sure they're offering you clear communication, great customer service, because without that, it's a wrap. So if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and that's it. See you next time.